and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your kinda sick host, Rowan.
And I'm a bloody pizza box Mike.
And it's Gill.
And here guesting is your pop diva, Willow.
Are you here so often now that we don't even introduce you? We're just like, you're stuck to just saying your name like the rest of us now.
They know. The real ones know.
Okay, so, freelance film critic, film scholar, published author, Willow Catelyn Maclay.
Heard of her.
Better?
But also pop diva.
Also pop diva. That's the most important part.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And we are Colton-less. Colton is taking a little break today. Poor guy getting overworked there. Needs a little resty time. But we had Willow the substitute, so that works out perfectly okay. I'm already apologizing in advance. I'm just looking at my vocals, and dear Lord. I'm away. I'm not recording in my normal setup, so it's like a different microphone that is not as good, and I'm sure I sound sick, which I was sick. I think I had COVID. So sorry in advance. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just a failure.
He's so sorry.
But
he's so Canadian.
So Canadian. I'm sorry for being sorry, guys. But we know where we're going to start with. Let's start off with what we've been consuming, what have we been watching, what have you been listening to, what have you been reading, all of that good stuff. Willow, you're the guest. Why don't you let us know what you've been consuming?
Okay, so in the past on this podcast, whenever you did the consuming thing, I just blitzed through it in a minute, and I was just like, oh yeah, I've been watching movies. Mike, what have you been watching? So I'll be a little more in-depth this time. I wrote down the list and everything. So this is everything that I've watched in the last week, and just a brief rundown of what those things are. I watched the new Naked Gun movie, which is inexplicably excellent. It's really fucking funny. I thought it was great. It's shot by Brendan Trost, and if that may be relevant to people who listen to this podcast, because he shot a bunch of horror movies in the aughts. For a long time, he was Rob Zombie's cinematographer. It looks great. Ooh. Liam Neeson is really, really funny. I rewatched Mario Bava's Twitch of the Death Nerve. We love Mario Bava. He is one of the great filmmakers in all of horror. He's always a good time. Usually, if my husband and I cannot figure out what to watch in the evening, if we're tired or whatever, half the time it ends up just being a Mario Bava movie. That one's great. It kind of invented slasher movies. It's set at a camp. Inexplicable things happen. Lots and lots of murder. Lots of gore. I rewatched Kiki's Delivery Service for a work project, and I've loved that movie since I was 10 years old. I think it's fantastic. I think that children and adults are going to be watching that movie for generations to come. Fantastic. Always love watching Studio Ghibli. Rewatched Hideaki Anno's Shin Godzilla in the cinema. Love that movie. I think that's one of the best horror movies of the last decade or so. I think it's still playing in cinemas, so you should definitely go out and watch that if you haven't. Even if you don't fuck with Godzilla, this is a genuine horror movie, and then a lot of the bureaucratic stuff is kind of funny in a Doctor Strangelove kind of way. I watched the punk rock documentary, The Decline of Western Civilization, on the Criterion Channel, directed by Penelope Spheris, who made Wayne's World. She's great with all these doofus rock star types, and this one is about punk rock music. So all of the, try-hard, kind of tough, political, nihilistic ideas that those guys had, featuring some cool bands and some bands that never made it. It's a fun hodgepodge of a lot of different music from that particular era in Los Angeles in the early 80s. I watched Francois Ozon's Water Drops on Burning Rocks for an upcoming job project, and that is it's very gay. I love it. I don't have much more to add. I watched the short film Cathedral, which is also gay, and that uses dissolve effects to create a feeling of dance, but it's like semi-pornographic. It's great. And I watched this movie called The Wild Boys, directed by Bertrand Van Dinko from 2017. And that's my favorite thing that I've watched this week that was new to me. It is this movie which is a hybrid of William Burroughs' The Wild Boys and Virginia Woolf's Orlando.
My God! What?
I know, right?
What?
So this movie is total mock bait, and I kind of want to show it to you. So the plot of the movie is that there is this group of boys, 5 boys, who have murdered a woman, and they have been sentenced to basically go to a finishing school overseen by this captain of a ship, where he is going to basically work them into being good citizens. But the twist of the movie is what he's actually doing is he's taking them to an island, and they're slowly transforming into women. So what happens is this is just very, very, very queer, slow transformation and sort of gender fluid craziness. And it reminded me of Fassbinder's Corel, which I'm sure is like great for you, Mike. And what's really cool is these 5 boys are played by 5 women. So you have kind of a gender fuck thing happening in the casting as well. And I really responded to that movie because it plays by no rules whatsoever. It does whatever it wants to without any sense of, respectability. It feels like old queer cinema. And I love that for it. So that's all the movies that I've been watching. I'm currently reading 2 books. I'm juggling Michael Koreski's new book on pre-code queer Hollywood called Sick and Dirty. That's fantastic.
I'm also reading it. It's excellent.
Are you?
Yes.
How far
I'm
into
listening
it
to the
are
audiobook.
you?
I actually am on this chapter about musicals right now, so it's all Judy Garland. Yeah.
Wonderful. Mike, we're so gay on this podcast.
I know.
Together, our
Really,
tastes,
truly.
right? Like it's like Pride Month over here. And I'm also reading Hubert Selby's Last Exit to Brooklyn. That's also for an upcoming job. Really enjoying that. This is my first time reading it. I'm about halfway through it. Really intense, aggressive prose, but it's really empathetic towards the characters that are there. It's great. I've also been playing this board game on and off called Final Girl, and I've really been enjoying that.
Yeah.
And I think everyone who listens to this podcast would really have a lot of fun playing that game. So that's everything. As far as music is concerned, I'm listening to Prince and the Cocteau Twins as always. What have you been listening to and watching and reading, Mike?
Well, always Cocteau Twins and Prince. Cocteau Twins BBC Sessions is number 1 in my house since I was 18. No matter who I'm living with, no matter where I'm living, that is going to be it. I was just adding the Wild Boys to my Letterboxd watch list immediately because you're right, that is me bait.
Oh, yeah. I plan on showing it to you. I'm going to get it on DVD at some point, and then we'll just watch it together.
Yeah, we'll have a screening. Perfect.
Anyone who doesn't know, Mike and I gather a couple times a month just to watch movies and get really drunk. So if... we have a great time.
It's kind of becoming a little tradition, and I'm living for it. So I haven't been watching that much. Last episode I had it was partially a lot because I missed the episode before, so I had 2 extra weeks worth of shit to catch up on, but also this week I pretty much went a whole week without watching anything because some people might know that our island was on fire / still is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a better part of a week when I was staying at my folks' place because we thought we were going to have to pack our shit up and evacuate at any given moment. So that was fun. So I spent like 4 days over there just literally pacing around in circles. So I didn't really watch much. But when I did get a chance, and it's so funny because this happened right after we recorded the last episode. It was like literally the next morning. So thank God the timing of that worked out in terms of like we didn't have to delay our recording because that would have sucked. I would have been an absolute
We're happy
mess.
that you're okay, first of all.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm glad you and Willow are okay.
Yeah, we were having a week.
We've had a bad month. Let's just say that. Things have only started to like chill out like in the last few days.
Yeah, it's been a rough one. August is like a spiral.
So
right, it's like literally just the world is on fire right now. It's, you know, we hadn't had rain for like a month. All of every bit of grass that I saw in my city was yellow and dead.
Dude, it's just
like, there was no green grass.
It's just a physical representation of like what's going on in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
it's
on fire.
Yeah, it's like you know, T.S. Eliot or something, like where the physical world is mirroring the like the rot, the moral rot. But anyway, so it's so funny because the first movie that I was able to like stomach watching, I think was a really good one to like get me back in the swing of things. So the first night that I thought, okay, my house isn't going to burn down and I'm not going to lose everything.
Ambulance.
Oh my God. That would be something you'd watch. Bringing Out the Dead. Like, no. So I went on several of my streaming services and I was like, okay, I want something that's going to be like chill, but fun and a little dark, but like something that's a little light. And, you know, I'm just going to be able to like bounce along with it, and you know it isn't too long, and because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pay attention, so I went on Criterion and totally forgot that they have an old fave of mine from when I was like a youngin', and it's called Psycho Beach Party. And
Love that movie.
Oh, it's so good. So it's this Colton would hate it. It is this super duper insanely campy slasher 60s beach movie parody, and it stars Lauren Ambrose from, you know, one of my favorite series, and I'm sure everyone else is 6 Feet Under. And it's got this insane supporting cast, like Amy Adams is in it and all these other people. Like, it's a wild movie, and it's just about like a serial killer at this like beach community, and it's just crazy. It's really funny. It's really like over the top. I highly recommend it. It's super fun. On Criterion, which to me, you know, gives it like a little bit of it gives it that air of.
First time I ever saw it was at Trevor and Willow's house.
I believe that.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah.
Didn't Exilia also go to that, like when we watched it together?
Maybe, yeah. I know she was.
I feel like it's her kind of movie.
Yeah, I think she's probably asleep, but I'm sure she'd like it if she was awake.
Minor detail. Some people are always asleep during movies, and that's just the way it is. So I decided to follow it up. I was having a lot of trouble. Like, I didn't want to watch too much horror right away just because, you know, I was not in a great mindset. So I wanted to watch some classics that, you know, are comforting to me. So one of them that I watched was, it's like a lore movie for me. I watched it when I was a kid because it used to come on TV all the time. And I thought that this was what, like, being a grown-up was going to be. And it's this movie from 1986 called Modern Girls. And it stars Virginia Madsen and Daphne Zuniga. And it's just about these, like, girls in their, like, early 20s who are, like, you know, party girls. And they go out on the town every night and go to the clubs. And, you know, and it's sort of, like, I'm sure we all know the genre of film that I'll call, like, After Dark light. So it's kind of like Scorsese's After Dark, because it's like you get into hijinks over the course of one night. And there were a lot of movies like that in the 80s and 90s. And this is one of them. It's a little bit fluffy. It's got a really good soundtrack with like a lot of synth pop and new wave. Like Depeche Mode is on it, and Ice House, and just Club Nouveau, and like a bunch of really great artists. You know, is it technically a good movie? No. Do I give it 4 stars on Letterboxd? Yes, because it's a banger. It's got a little bit of like romantic stuff in it. The one dude in it plays 2 roles. He's like the, you know, button down guy that is like along for the ride, but he also plays this like new wave rock star called Bruno X, and it's just really good. And Virginia Madsen, of course, we love on this podcast because Candyman is one of our favorites. That one is very hard to get, so you might have to pirate it. And so I also watched one of my faves, starring two of my favorite people in the universe. And Ro, I know that you.
I was gonna say I don't remember being in a movie that you watched. So,
well, you were in this movie, and I'll tell you why. Because it's John Singleton's 1993 masterstroke, Poetic Justice.
Oh, nice!
Starring two of the most talented, beautiful, wonderful human beings on the planet, Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur. R.I.P. And it's funny because I really wanted to watch it because I read the Tupac biography like maybe 6 months ago, and it was excellent. It really reminded me like what an insane artist he was, and just like how much of a loss it was when he died, because like he truly was going to be the artist of his generation. Like his output was really only a few years, but like he's superb. So Poetic Justice holds up, even though from 93, 22 years, like, no, 32? Ooh, 32. I have no concept of time or math. So yeah, 32 years later, I will say it still holds up. So love it. Great soundtrack, amazing soundtrack. You know, the two of them are electric. They're just, you can't take your eyes off of them. So then I finally was like able to watch a horror movie. And I have to say this. So I'm doing this thing partially inspired by like things I've been reading and partially inspired by our like movie nights, is I'm obsessed with the idea of like, I've also been watching a lot of like 35 millimeter like theater scans from like the 80s. So like I watched Inferno by Dario Argento, and it's this like scratched up like film print, and it just puts me in the like space of being in like a grindhouse movie theater in like the early 80s. And I'm kind of obsessed with this now. So every time I like watch a movie, I think like, oh, I'm Susan Sontag in New York in like 1982, and I'm just leaving my apartment every afternoon and getting a coffee and going to see 4 exploitation movies, you know, and I'm obsessed with it. I like have a playlist on my Apple Music and of like grindhouse exploitation soundtracks and stuff. So I'm kind of now once or twice a week trying to watch movies. There's this really good Letterboxd list, and it's like a listing of between like 1978 and like 1992, all of the movies that played in those grindhouse movie theaters in New York. And so I'm kind of like going through them and just picking out a movie every couple days and being like, I'm going to pretend that I'm like gone back in time and I'm in one of these grungy movie theaters and like watching this movie for the first time. So one of the ones that I decided to watch was Sweet 16, which is from 1983. And it's kind of, I guess, a cult classic. It's not really like that famous, but it has a very famous badass. It's one of my favorite movie posters of all time. And if you guys don't know the movie, you definitely know the poster or the VHS box art. And it's this like girl standing like from her waist up naked in like a pond of water. And she's kind of like putting her arms over her breasts so that, you know, they're not exposed, and her reflection in the water turns into the blade of a knife. And it's so fucking cool, and it's so badass, and I miss poster art. So the poster art is excellent. The movie is like mediocre. It stars Dana Kimmel, also known as Chris from Friday the 13th 3. It's like fine. It's a fun, you know, cheesy exploitation movie. I think it's on Prime or something. I can't remember where I watched it, but it is available to stream. I also watched Cathedral, hilariously.
Wavelengths.
I actually was like, I saw that Willow logged it, and I was going to text her and be like, oh my God, like, why are we all watching this movie? Anyway, yeah, so I won't go into that. On our 2B movie night a few days ago, I watched this one from 1980 called How to Beat the High Cost of Living. It's this like crime caper comedy, but of course in true Mike style. It does not star men. It's a all-female crime comedy caper, and it stars Susan St. James, who was on Kate and Ellie, which nobody probably knows, but was a sitcom in the 80s. Jane Curtin, who was also in Kate and Ellie, but famously was on the original Saturday Night Live, and then I guess more famously after that was on Third Rock from the Sun and Coneheads and all that. But also stars Jessica Lange. And she's like little baby Jessica Lange in 1980. You almost wouldn't even recognize her. Like she's just like, if you just know Jessica Lange from like American Horror Story, it's like night and day because she's just like, oh, she's like so fresh and dewy. It was wonderful. It's just about these like 3 ladies in 1980 who inflation is killing their, ability to live their lives the way they want. So their local mall is having this like giant ball that's spinning $1 million cash around. And so they plot to like knock out the power and like drill a hole in the ball and steal the money. And of course, hijinks ensue. It was actually really fun.
The plot is still relatable to today's concern.
It actually really is. I turned to my friend at one point and was like, 45 years later, this is actually 100%. Like, if you made this now and just changed some of the technology, it would fly. Like, you could put this out in theaters or, like, put it up on Netflix or something. It was actually really, really funny. Age. Well, listen, Reaganomics ruined the world.
Yeah.
Let's face it. Like, thank you, America. So that was actually fun. It's on Tubi. You should check it out.
Thanks a lot,
it was really
Gill.
funny. Thanks a lot, Gill. Jill's directly responsible for Ronald Reagan.
So sorry.
So that same night, we capped off the night by I showed my friend a movie on the Criterion Channel that he had never seen before, and it's Singles, which I was shocked because he loves movies, and Singles is one of the iconic early 90s, like, it's sort of like, I don't want to say it started grunge, but it was like the movie that brought it to like a mainstream audience, because there was like Pearl Jam in it, and all the like Seattle, Alice in Chains. Yeah, like the soundtrack is iconic, but also a lot of these musicians just star in the movie.
I watched a Facebook video literally like a month ago from George Strompolampus, and he was talking about how he says that's the greatest soundtrack of all time.
It is excellent. My brother had it. Yeah. So the movie still holds up. It's a great movie. It's like a romantic dramedy. It's got a really stacked cast, like, Kira Sedgwick, aka Mrs. Kevin Bacon, Bridget Fonda, Matt Dillon. Like, there's a lot of like really recognizable 90s people in it. I was just a little bit like, this is a lot of heterosexual nonsense. But it could also be because we were watching it at like 2:00 in the morning. So I don't know. We'll see. But, it was good. And I also rewatched an old favorite of mine that I know, actually, that Gill and Willow both watched. I don't know how recently Gill watched it, but it's Gypsy 83.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Banger.
It's
movie. I saw it in the 2000s and like absolutely loved it. Sarah Rue was in it. She was on Popular and a bunch of other sitcoms. Mm-hmm. It's just about this goth girl and her gay best friend who live in Podunk, Ohio, and they're goth and they're obsessed with Stevie Nicks, so they decide that they're going to travel to New York because there's a contest called Night of 1,000 Stevies, and you can win money and all this. So she and her mom disappeared and went to New York. So it's one of these nice like road trip movies where they learn something about themselves along the way, and it's wonderful. It's got a great soundtrack. Karen Black is in it, one of our favorites of all time. Yeah, it's a really, really good movie.
So good.
Great acting, great soundtrack. It's just fun. It's light. It's, nothing too serious, but...
Incredible fashion.
Oh, the fashion is wild. Like, it's just lace as far as the eyes can see. Mm-hmm. And everything is black and purple. And, there's lots of deflowerings going on and things like that. So
I think it's funny.
Yeah, lots
that
of cruising in bathrooms and rest stops.
I thought it was like a sad movie. Like every time I watch it, I feel like my heart gets ripped out a little bit. Like it is sad. Fun, but yeah, it's fun,
but it's also devastating.
Too. Yeah,
yeah. But that doesn't bother me, so maybe that explains it. And I actually, it's just funny because about 5 minutes before I jumped on to record tonight, I decided to squeeze in one last movie, and it was one that I've somehow never seen before, and I thought it was going to be like just an awful movie, and this was part of my like I'm going to watch like an old like Grindhouse movie, and it gagged me. My jaw's on the floor. It's an instant like going into my Pantheon. I'm buying Blu-ray of it. I want to get the soundtrack on vinyl, and it's from 1982, and it's the slasher movie Pieces, which is like essentially this like Italian horror movie that is trying to be American. And it's about a guy who's just running around a college campus in Boston, chainsawing women into pieces. Oh my God. It is amazing. Like the score is like blew my brains. It's got insanely good fashion, obviously, because it's Italian. Like the kills are insane. The movie looks really beautiful. The cinematography is great. The sets are great, but it's just this like insane, borderline plotless movie about somebody just chainsawing people to death. And like, honestly, it's on Shudder. Fucking watch it. Like, if you've somehow never seen this movie and you're listening to this podcast, it is a certified banger, so get on it. Ro, let's throw it over to you.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the rare times we have Willow on, and, Willow's always, like, watching good, artful, highbrow things. I come in, it's always, like, just pure trash, like, I don't know. I was gonna say...
Okay. I did leave out one movie that I watched because I didn't want to bring up, like, the history, but, like, I watched Sleepaway Camp 3 for the first time this past week while I was doing something else, and it fucking sucks. Like, it's not it's not any good. It's
a bad movie.
It's like nothing happens in it, and they cut away from all the gore, and like whoever I don't know, I can't even remember who directed it, but like it's not great at all. But like, I do watch my fair share of trash. I just didn't want to waste any breath on Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, well, like I said, so I can be a little proud that I watched like some highbrow stuff this time. So we're going to start off with War of the Worlds featuring Ice Cube. I checked this out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, if you're alive and have a pulse and you're on the internet, this is already quickly becoming like the most memed movie of all time.
I think it's kind of impressive that it immediately became one of the worst films of all time. Agreed upon worst film of all time. I haven't seen a consensus around the worst film of all time like this in a really long time. And I kind of want to watch it just because everyone says it's like the worst thing ever made.
I will say this, that I read a lot of reviews before I was like, am I committing to this at 3:30 in the morning? And the answer was I did commit. And
of course.
But like a lot of people said, they were like, oh, this is like so bad. It's not funny. It's not good. It's just like, what am I watching? I don't think I've laughed so hard so many times by myself because it is that bad. It is funny. Like just the pure reaction shots of everything Ice Cube does, just him saying damn like 28 million times, like with no inflection of whether it's good or bad. Like he thinks his kids are dead and he's just like, damn. And then, like an alien kills, an alien like knocks out the power and he's like, damn. And it's just like, you could tell Ice Cube just phoned this in. If you're not, go watch it if you haven't, because it's funny. It's super funny. And it's, it's the popular thing now of it's all done it's supposed to look like the computer screen or whatever. So it's like that found footagey type thing. And if you're a fan of the original, book or movie of War of the Worlds, this probably isn't going to be your thing. I'll just tell you that right now.
What about if you're just an Ice Cube fan?
I don't know if it's going to be your thing either, because this also was an Ice Cube thing, apparently, because he phoned this in for sure. And to keep the Amazon money train going to them, I couldn't resist not watching The Pickup, which is Eddie Murphy's new movie on Amazon. And I mean, I've said I love Eddie Murphy, so I'm always going to check out, see what he's doing. This is him and Keke Palmer and Pete Davidson.
Oh, I love Keke.
This is a little better than War of the Worlds. This is it's just bad. It's not, super, super terrible. But, Eddie Murphy might have a couple funny lines. This is just one of those typical, we have a comedy that's not good enough to go into the theater. So it's just going in the streaming. Jeff Bezos paid us $8 million, to do this. So it's whatever. One thing I did watch that I really did enjoy was it's from 2024. It's the French short horror film Never Have I Ever, which I really enjoyed. It's horror. I never want to say much about horror in case, we talk about it or something. But this is definitely in the vein of that Inside, Martyrs, that, that kind of gruesome stuff. It's all shot in the first person, and it's pretty harrowing. I mean, it's French, so we know what's going on there. So yeah, check that out. I did the the Andy Samberg sports trilogy is essentially what I always refer it to as. So that's 7 Days in Hell, which is like his faux ESPN tennis documentary where he kind of plays it's like kind of very similar character to like the lead of Eastbound and Down. Like he's just kind of this like John Rocker-esque type guy, like the long bleach blonde hair, and he's definitely, you know, like a rock and roll trumper or something. And it's super funny. Like there's tons of, you know, old SNL people in this, and this one stars, what's his name? Kit Harington or whatever from Game of Thrones.
Nice.
And it's super funny. Like, I do really enjoy these. The other one I watched was The Lonely Island Presents The Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience. This one I think is like the weaker of the three. It's essentially just a half-hour long like music video for like Lonely Island music. But it's all about these like two brothers that are on, I think, the Angels baseball team. And it's just like about them doing steroids and, you know, just Lonely Island funniness. And then my favorite one is Tour de Pharmacy, which is another of the like faux ESPN documentaries. But this one has probably the most like famous people that get in it, and I love this one so much. John Cena is like the co-star of it, and this one's fun because, you know, they talk about this Tour de France, but they call it Tour de Pharmacy because everybody's on drugs in it. But they have like you know, Andy Samberg plays his character, but then they interview all the characters as they're older, so they were able to get like other famous people so Jeff Goldblum plays him when he's older, and like I forget who this other guy in it, Slim something, but like his older version is Donald Glover, and like they just get like the casting so good in this. Lance Armstrong probably is in this, probably shouldn't have been in this. He's like trying to make fun of himself for going on drugs, but it's definitely worth it. It's super, super funny. I can't think of the kid's name in it. The kid from Bates Motel is in it, and I can't remember his name, but I know people like him that plays Norman or whatever. Mm-hmm. But he's in it, and he plays, I should just look at it now. It's kind of funny because he plays the woman in this as a young person, because the joke is women weren't allowed in Tour de France, so she had to disguise herself as a boy. And so I guess they're making fun of him. But the woman that plays her, you know, as an older person is Julia Ormond.
Ooh.
So she's fantastic in it. It's, like I said, super funny. Check it out. I think it's on like Crave in Canada.
Rowan, did you watch the new Naked Gun movie?
I didn't yet. I really want to.
Okay, so it was made by one of the guys in Lonely Island, and it's that kind of comedy.
Yeah. I did know that, and that's why I wanted to go see it. Because I was very misconstrued that I thought Seth MacFarlane was like directing it, and I'm not a huge... It doesn't
feel like his stuff at all.
Yeah, so I totally need to go see it now because I'm totally on board if that's not the case. I also checked out Hurry Up Tomorrow. That was one I had missed when it was in theater. Not that I probably would have went and saw it. I'm not really a big weekend guy, so I knew everyone. This is another one I feel was just like panned immediately when it came out, and I pretty much also pay. It's not very good, you know. I've seen interviews with The Weeknd talking about it, and like you can tell he really likes movies, like he really likes cinema. He's a big horror guy, but like so much of this movie was just like scenes or blatant ripoffs of other movies, and there's like no good reason. Like they fully rip off the iconic scene in Possession for no reason. Like there's no reason to it whatsoever other than they wanted it to look like that. The music's okay. It's basically just an hour and a half long music video. It's all Weeknd music from his album, also called Hurry Up Tomorrow. And I mean, it's really just a movie about him, how awesome he is essentially, and how hard it is to be The Weeknd, and, you know, doing doing shows and having women all over you and drinking and all this stuff and woe is me.
So it's like the male version of Perfect Blue.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I mean, you can definitely tell, like, obviously he was looking at this like, I'm the next prince. Like, this is my moment. And it's just like, the Prince things didn't feel like that. This is like, it's all about the weekend. And obviously, like, Jenna Ortega's in this. She's mediocre at best in this. She's the best thing in it, probably. And what's his name? Barry Keoghan, is that his name? Yeah. He's also in it, and he's on like Saltburn level in this. Like, he's like so overacting, and The Weeknd can't act, and he shares all the scenes with them. It's just really, really awkward. The last three I'll talk about, because this is up Mike's alley for sure. So I got me and Mike may have texted a lot late at night, 4 a.m, while he's probably at work.
I'm at work, and you're still
awake,
being row
on Tubi. Get my erotic thrillers on. So I watched Traces of Red, which I ended up really enjoying. It stars Jim Belushi as the kind of sex symbol in this, which was interesting to watch. The detective that gets all the ladies, Jim Belushi.
And Lorraine Bracco.
Yeah. Willow looks like she wants to. Yeah, that's really all you can.
I can't imagine a world where he's like a heartthrob, No offense to Jim Belushi, but
it's not even that, but it's like everyone that's throwing themselves at him are like, it's like 20-year-old waitresses are just like, oh my God. And yeah, I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is and it's interesting because his partner in this, like the other detective, is like younger and like way more traditionally attractive than Jim Belushi. You're like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No offense to him, but I really, really did like this movie. It was really good. It was trashy. It was just awesome. Then I watched Escape Clause. This was a made-for-TV movie by It Slays podcast icon, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith of Leprechaun 3 fame. This one was fantastic. This one starred Andrew McCarthy and Paul Sorvino, and I also really enjoyed this one. So it's like a guy that like worked for the union but came up with an insurance algorithm that always blames the victim. So now he works for the insurance company, but he's also kind of like, fuck the man. This is ruining people. And, it's just like hijinks. It's an erotic thriller. Hijinks ensue. There's angry police. There's like child kidnapping in this. And it's so good. It's so trashy. I really enjoyed that. And then I watched Double Jeopardy. This one was like mid, also a TV movie. I wasn't familiar with any of the people in this. I know one of them is from like one of the Law and Order shows or something. It's Rachel Ward and Celia Ward. And then Bruce Boxall.
Leitner.
Yeah, something. The only person I recognize in this is Aaron Eckhart is in this for like 5 minutes. And he's like young. He's like maybe 20, like 19, 20 in this. This one wasn't very good though. Another erotic thriller that for some reason, like 20 times in this movie, they just play the sound of an eagle screeching. And that was really funny. It's like kind of set in this like universe. It's like set in this like university desert town or something. So yeah, it wasn't amazing. And I also rewatched Long Legs last night with Rhonda Fraser. She really enjoyed it. She liked it so much, she said they're going to watch it again so she can show Dad it. So
aww, that's cute.
And then other than that, I've been watching a little TV. I'm still back on my X-Files, watching X-Files when I can. I think I'm on like episode 12, season 3 right now. So I'm chugging along in that. And then I feel like kind of with the rest of the world, I am watching Alien Earth. And I'm actually really enjoying that. I was kind of worried I wasn't going to enjoy it, but I think it's enough of the old style stuff. And I like things. It's more, there's a lot more like androids and synthetics and stuff in it. And, I like that kind of stuff. And there's more Alien than I thought was going to be in it. So I also enjoy that. The only thing I don't really love is they just keep playing death metal music throughout it. And I don't know, there's just something about Alien that I feel has to have a score. It shouldn't have like actual music in it that I know or anything.
Yeah.
But it seems people like it. It's made by the same guy that did the Fargo TV show and the Legion TV show. Noah something is his name. But yeah.
Noah Hawley.
Yeah, Noah Hawley. So I've been enjoying it. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm still reading Bloom. I've been kind of slow the last week on that, but I'm getting there.
Come on, man. It's so good. Gotta read
Jill,
it.
what about you?
So what I've been up to, I read a single book. I read Coup de Grace by Sophia Adram. I think that's how you say her name. She's a Canadian writer, I think based in Montreal. It's a tiny...
I read an anthology she edited. It was good.
Is it Bury Your Gaze?
Bury Your Gaze, yeah.
Yep. That's on my list. Have you read that one?
It's
so
good.
You recognize probably her writing style, which is very like florid, very decorative. And it's a little novella about suicide, basically. Fucking trigger warning here. But yeah, the whole book was a little bit depressing just because of like the subject matter, but it also never gets happy, really. That there's never any release. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like tethered in reality if you're someone who suffers with like suicidal thoughts or mental illness. It's that exact same headspace. So I would say, if you're not like triggered by that kind of stuff, if that stuff would put you in a bad mood, maybe don't read it. But it does have an interesting perspective on death and like what happens when you die. So it's a little bit morbid, but the writing is very nice and relatable with the subject matter they're writing about. And then I watched some movies. Let's brighten up the mood here.
Depends on what movies you watch, though.
And all those movies are about suicide.
That would not be a movie I would want to watch. Like, they should never adapt it. It's really sad. But I attended Van Party 2025 at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater here in Pennsylvania. It's an annual event they have. It's my first time going to this one. But basically, they play The Lost Boys and they play another 80s vampires movie at the drive-in. And they had like different like kind of vampire-inspired drinks you could get. And we also got treated to a concert by Tim Capello, which was really awesome. He did like a bunch of songs, and in between the songs, he told little anecdotes and stuff, and he's actually a really cool guy and kind of profound, surprisingly.
Not what I expected you to end with.
Yeah, but then he ended it with, let's go to Vampire Church before we watch The Lost Boys, so I thought that was really cool. And yeah, he was really sweaty, and it was really hot there. But watching the movie at a drive-in was really cool, just because of like the nostalgia with the movie The Lost Boys in particular. And I don't know, it just felt really magical. And there were little bats flying around the screen, actually. So it was just so fitting, so perfect. I went with my friends, and yeah, we just had a great time. So, yep, Lost Boys, cool vibe. I also watched Final Destination Bloodlines because that's on HBO Max right now. And I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I thought it was really fun. I liked the callbacks to the original like movies. It had a lot of really crazy kills.
I think most people liked it.
Really?
I think me and Colton were the only people that didn't like it, I felt.
Okay. I need to go listen to your episode because I'm interested as to why you didn't like it. But it had a lot of like crazy kills, but it was a little bit cheesy. But I didn't think it was detrimental to the movie. I don't know. I thought it was just kind of fun. And then right after the first Final Destination movie like replayed like automatically. So I watched most of it and I was like, wow, nothing like really happens for a long time in this movie. Actually, it's not like, spoiler alert, Final Destination Bloodlines where there's a kill like every 5 seconds and it's like really intricate and stuff. So I kind of like what it has become. I like that it ties it back to kind of the beginning of the series as well. And it was just a fun time. And what else did I watch? Speaking of French movies you're talking about earlier, I watched Titan from 2021, directed by Julia Ducournau, who did Raw, which we talked about on the podcast not too long ago. So I finally watched the car fucking movie.
Hell yeah.
I think I prefer Raw over Titan.
I do too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not just me. I felt a little disappointed, honestly, after seeing Raw first and hearing all the hype about Titan, and then watching it, I was just like, I kind of expected more from it, and I felt like a lot of it wasn't coherent, like story-wise.
I can't remember. I saw it. I just can't. I can't remember a lot about it. I should probably rewatch it at some point.
There you go.
I mean, it's fine. You could watch some other movie on Amazon Prime instead if you want to.
Like War of the Worlds. There's no
Yeah,
War of the
There you
Worlds.
go. With Ice Cube.
Yeah, make that your whole personality, just watching that movie over and over again.
That should be your personality.
Until you're just like constantly quoting it. And it's like really annoying to everybody around you.
I mean, it's pretty easy. I just go, damn.
Anything happens. Damn. And the last thing that I watched last night, I rewatched Death Becomes Her. I don't even think I watched it that long ago. And I just keep forgetting like how like zany and just campy it is. It's just
perfect.
A fun time.
It's a perfect masterpiece. It's 5 stars. Heart on Letterboxd.
I think I wrote on Letterboxd for that movie, if serving cunt were an Olympic sport.
Yes. That's accurate.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. I mean, we watched it like, what was that? Like maybe 6 months ago on 4K. And then I immediately went out and bought the disc. And then my friend's husband was like, we were going to have a movie night over to his house. And he's like, I've actually never seen Death Becomes Her. And I was like, okay, well, you get your PlayStation ready because I'm bringing over the 4K and you're watching it.
Yeah, it's a ride.
Yeah.
I've got to rewatch it. I haven't seen it. I think I saw it with my mother, like when I was young, when it came, when it came out. And I don't think I've seen it since then.
Oh my God.
It's really interesting to watch after watching The Substance. There's a lot of parallels.
It mothered The Substance. Absolutely.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah.
And Frankenhooker, honestly. Like, there's a couple of kills where it's basically mannequins just like blown up. Like straight out of Frankenhooker. So, and Frankenhooker and The Substance go together. So. Makes sense.
Yeah, like that scene in The Substance when like Demi Moore is like trying to work through the French cookbook and she's just like super campy the whole way through. That's totally like in league with like what Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn are doing in Death Becomes Her. It's like the same energy. Like totally, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, it's like instead of chicken carcasses everywhere, it's like the empty bottles of frosting. Empty jars of frosting all over her apartment and cat food.
You're making me think of Girl Interrupted.
Oh, I know. The chickens
Brittany
under
Murphy,
the bed. R.I.P. Brittany Murphy. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Well, with that, why don't we get into our movie for this evening? Gill, this was your pick. Why don't you introduce it and let people know why you chose this one?
All right, so this is my first time watching Perfect Blue, and I chose this movie to watch because it's been on my watch list for a long time, and I keep saying I'm going to watch it, and I just don't. I need like a reason or a push to do it. So, I decided to pick it for today. And I'm also kind of tired of talking about movies that I've already seen before. It is really fun to spice it up and just, take a risk. Even though this one's not really a risk because people have been telling me for a while that I should watch this. And I've seen on Letterboxd that it's pretty beloved. But I didn't know what to expect. So I went into this movie completely blind. We just wanted to give you guys a trigger warning because we will be talking about some subjects like sexual assault. So if you think that might be triggering for you, maybe don't listen to this episode.
And also don't watch this movie.
And don't watch this movie.
So with that, we'll get into the trailer and we'll be back with the synopsis and first experiences. 1997's Perfect Blue is directed by Satoshi Kon and written by Satoshi Kon and Sadayuki Murari. Listen, people. This is why Colton skipped today, because he knew every time this guy skips, he's like, I'm going to make sure Rowan has the hardest names to pronounce. I can't even pronounce English names. So what is this guy doing to me? What is going on?
I think you do a better job with the Japanese than the English, actually. So
yeah, this might be a sad reality of my life.
No shade, though.
But the synopsis is as follows. Encouraged by her managers, rising pop star Mima takes on a reoccurring role on a popular TV show when suddenly her handlers and collaborators begin turning up murdered. So our first experiences, is this our first time seeing it? Or when it comes down to the horror movies of the anime kind, are we just seasoned vets? Jill, it was your pick. You said you didn't see it. Was there anything else you wanted to add, or no?
Nah.
Well, we'll go right to you, Willow. Have you seen this before?
Yeah, I grew up watching anime. Like, once Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z got popular, I kind of made anime part of my interests. So like, I wanted to look further and further into the genre as I grew up. And by the time I was a teenager, the shows that were more based for children, like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, like I mentioned, I wanted something a little more mature, a little more adult, and I was growing into loving horror movies at the same time. So I looked up, like, well, what are the best anime to watch that do have a horror element to them? And this was one of the first ones that came up, and I think I probably watched this movie for the first time when I was 16. And it immediately became a favorite. It's not only one of my favorite anime, it's also one of my favorite horror movies in general. I think it gets into a lot of really complex ideas about misogyny, stardom, the way that the male gaze works in cinema, the way that it works in pop music, the way that it works in marketing, and the film is very playful in the way that it gets to those ideas. It's really complicated formally, and I've loved it all of my life, and I've seen it I've loved it most of my life since I was a teenager. And I've seen it many, many times. How about you, Mike?
I feel like I was kind of in a similar boat, but I was not a big anime person growing up. Mm-hmm. I loved Sailor Moon, and I'd watch pretty much whatever was on TV. Astro Boy, I guess you could count as one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I liked the stuff that was like weird and surreal, but honestly, I think that's like most anime. It's all like very strange. But yeah, I also sort of was like, listen, as I got older, I wanted to like check out the darker stuff. Always, like, you know, it's like I think we all have that type of personality where it's like you get a taste for something and you're like, okay, I need to advance. Show me like the 202s and 303s and, you know, make it as dark as possible. So, you know, like I used to Google, you know, like good anime movies and stuff. And so, you know, I would see like Akira and, I mean, I'm not saying I watched a lot of them because I didn't, but I will say like I watched Akira and like Ninja Scroll and, you know, like Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that. And so this was one of the ones that popped up, and it was not easy to find back in the day. I did find it to
You know what
download.
Gave it a big boost, actually? When Black Swan came out, Darren Aronofsky said that Perfect Blue was a huge influence on the film.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that gave it a huge boost, and I think that a DVD came out around the same time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I like watched some like VHS rip from Pirate Bay or something. Like, I know I downloaded it because that was the only way to get it back in the day. And I didn't even like watch it. That was when we used to watch like movies in groups all the time. I just watched it alone and was like, what did I just watch? And it became one of those instant like favorites. And then I also think Black Swan and Tumblr, I think I always say, like, when I think of things that are crystallized in my mind as being like Tumblr aesthetics, anime like Perfect Blue is definitely one of them, because it's very gifable and it's got those like aesthetics that people will copy and like use for their own fandoms. Like the shot of her, it's funny because when I was in bed last night I was like, I'm gonna go on Tumblr and look it up, and there are so many riffs on the shot of her, you know, with the like knife above her head in front of the screen that has her picture on it, but just with other characters. And I'm just like, man, it's still to this day, like decades later, still kind of like that Tumblr aesthetic. So it's one of those movies that like I want to rewatch every month, but I will not, because it's so precious and so dark and disturbing that it's one of those, I know I've said this before, that you trot out like Fine China, like you only every now and then you open the door, you unlock it. So yeah, Ro, what about you? I'm sure you've seen it like 80 times.
I have never seen this ever. I was aware of it. I mean, my anime knowledge pretty much goes, you know, like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, and then that's pretty much it. I've never really watched. I mean, like, you know, Willow brought up like Sailor Moon, so like I've seen that when I was a kid, and but anime was never like really my thing. So this like I said, it's been on my list of like stuff eventually to get to, but I never rushed to do it. So not only was this my first time watching this, but, you know, just like a boy should, I watched this for the first time with my mother. She also watched this with me. So we watched it last night, and that was both of our first times.
What did she think of it?
Well, I'll let you know later. That's like
Okay. We're getting the Rhonda Fraser review.
So yeah, with that, you know, let's just get into it. Let's go through the curtain onto the stage and just saying about Perfect Blue. Yeah, who would like to start this?
I can start it if you want to. If you want me to. So I mentioned before, but I think that this is a really precise movie about the ways that I think that the way that women can feel watched in horror movies, and this movie exploits all of that in a way that I think is really affecting. And I think that it's still like very relevant with like the internet becoming like a big thing in our lives. I know that I have my own experiences of like having people like trying to form parasocial relationships with me on the internet, and I'm not asking for that. And I think that this movie is really interesting because it's like right at the beginning of that. Like she literally doesn't know how to get online. She doesn't know what the internet is.
Old woman teaches her how to get on the website. Like,
yeah, it's one of the cuter scenes in the movie is when she like buys a computer for the first time and brings it into her apartment, and she's like figuring out how to work the internet, and she's like HTTP, you know, and it's a whole thing. But you know, like this is the first movie kind of about that. I know when I was rewatching the movie with my husband, we were like, oh, like the Japanese movies about the internet, and I'm including like Ghost in the Shell in with this as well, were like really forward thinking about this in the way that American movies at the time weren't. You had like Johnny Mnemonic or whatever, which was kind of like virtual reality, but like this is kind of like very lived in and real feeling to me, even when it gets like fantastical and very extravagant in the back half of the film. I think it really works in that way.
No shout out to Sandra Bullock in the net or what?
Pizza.com.
Yeah, what's not forward thinking about pizza.com? I was just thinking about Mike in the early, you know, ages, like Nima, just HTTP //pornhub.com.
Listen, I can't help that I still type like that, okay? My brain just can't grasp it.
I like what you said, Willow, about kind of how women feel watched all the time, like the voyeuristic aspect to being a woman and also to being a public figure or celebrity. I didn't mention this, but last night I watched a really terrible movie called Scissor Penis. It's a Japanese movie that's definitely made by it's got a lot of incel qualities to it, but it's like a Japanese horror movie. And then I watched this today, and I did see a lot of parallels, specifically with like peeping toms. That's kind of a big thing in Japan. So it was interesting to then watch this movie where it immediately starts off with the same kind of like issues.
Yeah, like I think that one shot near the beginning of the movie, when she's performing with Cham for the first time and she's on stage and we cut to the perspective of the guy watching it and he has the perspectives, it looks like she's in his hands. I think that kind of, I think that's a very like provocative thematic image that like runs through the entire thing.
True, and it's very much a story about the patriarchy and how they kind of hold all this power, have, you know, these women as kind of puppets. And that's also seen when she becomes an actress and she does the rape scene that she doesn't really want to do. She's kind of hesitant, and her manager, like talent agent, whatever, Rumi, she doesn't want her to do it as well because she knows what stakes are there, essentially. And even when Mima agrees to do it, she kind of does it because she doesn't really feel she has a choice. She wants her career. She wants to be an actress more than anything else. She wants her career to become something. So she does it. And then when she actually goes through it, you see that it really does something to her. Like it fractures this shard of her psyche and she's never the same. And there's so much of this movie too that ties into like trauma and mental illness and how you kind of have to split into different versions of yourself to survive and deal with things and also, you know, take care of other things. There's a lot of layers to this movie. Like there's a lot going on, and I really feel that one watch is not enough and I need to watch it several more times to really get the whole picture, and that's one thing I really liked about it.
Yeah, it's art.
Yeah, it's a densely layered text. I think that there's so much going on in this movie that we could pick at, but like why don't we just start at the very beginning with like all of the pop music and everything. That she's like in a girl group, and she's trying to ascend to the next chapter in her career by becoming an actress. So she's quitting this group. And I think that that's really important because when she's in this girl group, she has other women around her that can kind of support her in her career. But when she becomes an actress, she's basically on her own for the rest of the movie. And the film, I think, becomes very solitary, and we kind of like get into how she's processing everything mentally that's happening to her as she is navigating the very difficult waters of trying to become an actress. And she's not even sure she wants to be an actress, I don't think. I think that's what's really sad about this movie. Like, she's just even like remove the horror aspect. It's kind of a tragic film because I don't think she makes a lot of decisions for herself. She's kind of like following a script of what she thinks a star should do.
Yeah, it's like my next step has to be like A, B, C, you know, it's like just the same plot recycled over and over. And, you know, it's like similar to, you know, you're like, oh, the Disney person is going to do a sexy movie now. You know what I mean? It's
well, I was going to say, that's what's like also sad about it, right? Because not only is it like doing those steps, and not being in control of those steps, but as they go on, like they get far more lewd, far more pornographic, and like the advantage, like she's just taking more and more advantage of because, you know, like she's not being able to voice her own opinion on it, right? They're just like, no, this is what you got to do. You know, you have to start with one line in this movie. You have to do like the rape scene in the movie. And now you got to do like this risque photo shoot with the photographer. And yeah, I think like like you said, Willow, just like so many layers of it, and like definitely a critique of like the entertainment system as it is, and how you know, a lot of times these choices like aren't your own, and you're just kind of like fed through this machine in this process of like what you got to do, you know, if you want that like high goal of being a top paid actor or being able to choose your roles, like, wow, you got to do all this sleazy stuff for us first. And then we know you're serious. We take you as a serious actor.
Yeah, and it's like they test her and see how far she'll bend.
Yeah.
And once they see her bending, you can see for the rest of the movie, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And they're like, okay, we know that she is in it and wants to do anything to like take that next step. So they're going to go out of their way constantly to make it as difficult on her and make it as sleazy as possible.
Yeah.
Because they can, because they know she did it once. This is it. Like,
and we see this happen all the time, right? Like obviously we don't have a ton of context for like the Japanese versions of these stories, but like we know that this happened with Britney Spears. We know that this happened with Kesha. We know that this happened with Lindsay Lohan. This sort of expectation of like what a female superstar is supposed to do is consistent across cultures, and I think that this movie is very honest about how horrible that can be a lot of the time.
Yeah, and think about it. It's 1997. Like, this is kind of... I mean, listen, this system has been in place since the dawn of, you know, the music industry and the movie industry. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about that book we were reading earlier, and I've been listening to the chapter on Judy Garland. And I mean, in the 30s, she was getting fed through a machine essentially in the same way as a teenager that people were. Yeah. And it broke her. And I mean, then you see the same story happening over and over. You know, it's like people who are medicating and get depressed and just like go down this self-destructive path. But like, I feel like in the 90s, that was sort of like just starting to peak again because of the way that, you know, like TV and the internet and stuff were changing the culture and making everything kind of more immediate. But also, like, 1997 is a decade before, say, the, like, Britney, we'll call it the Britney era. I mean, it's when she's at her peak commercially, of course, but if we're talking about, you know, the way that people were actually calling attention to, you know, the way that the cogs in this machine were just, like, getting chewed up and spit out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, once you're, you know, of no use to us, like, goodbye. You know, just swept under the rug. And the fact that, like, in 1997, you have a movie like this, like, actively calling that out and also bringing the internet into it, like, it's fucking pure genius.
Yeah, it's so prescient to, like, everything that would happen in the next decade in, you know, our experiences in North America. Like, the tabloid era was just horrendous to grow up through, honestly.
Yeah, it's like TMZ.com. Please.
Well, and that's what made it interesting with the like kind of the unreliable narration aspect of this, where because like we said, like obviously when you're watching this, you're thinking about, you know, when we grow up of the Lindsay Lohans and the Britney Spears and all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was interesting because when you think about people like that in their narrations of their experience, that we're like, you know, we're kind of trained as this like mainstream public to be like, oh, like they're just crazy. Like, you know, I mean, Britney Spears was put in like a conservatorship, right? Like these kind of things where we're like, oh yeah, like they're just like broken. They don't understand the reality. They don't know what's going on. And so it's very interesting to see this play out, like we said, like in 97 in this horror anime film.
And it's exploiting that too in the way that the film is structured, because at a point you lose track of like what's real and what's not at the exact same time that she does. Like the movie is intentionally confusing because she's having a confusing experience.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the reasons why I can't watch this regularly, besides the fact that it's just generally very dark, is because I go into a spiral of anxiety every time I watch it, because I feel like I honestly don't even remember the last time I would watch a movie that I felt literally like I was trapped in the exact same situation. Like it was suffocating. I felt like she felt, and like I just could not get out of it. And oh my God, like just the structure of it blows my mind.
Yeah, I think for the animation especially really ties into that, because for the first maybe half of the movie, the colors are very vibrant, very bright. It seems more of a happy kind of movie. But when after that, pivotal scene occurs and you start to see kind of the spark drain out of her, you see the colors start to dull. Her skin becomes like kind of ashen and everything just looks really sad.
Yeah, I think that she does feel as though she was raped in that scene because she didn't want to do this. And she has... How do I phrase this? The structure that the film undergoes after that point is like very much indebted to like the way that post-traumatic stress disorder works and like traumatic memories work, and how that they sometimes overlap on top of one another, or you can feel trapped in a specific memory, or it can repeat itself, or it can feel like it's happening right in front of you even though it's not. She's very out of body, and I think that the movie is very, very, very in tune with like how that functions for a person who is struggling from that sort of post-traumatic stress. And I think that it's really interesting in a horror context because, we talk about like the Mad Woman horror movies often as fans of the genre, but there aren't a ton of horror movies that actually are shaped in the way that mental illness is shaped. And I think that this one is, and I think that that's one of the really unique things about it that actually makes the horror elements kind of a little bit more, maybe more difficult to enjoy, but like really, it's really easy to be impressed by it too, because it is a really affecting movie.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Joe was talking about like the colors at the beginning and stuff. And I will say, I worried a little bit for this pick for the first little bit. I think me and Mom, we both kind of looked at each other because like for the first 20 minutes, I'm like, what's going on here? Is this going to become a horror movie or anything? And I was like, but it's interesting, like when that flip comes, how like it just like it flips. And like you said, it's just like this really dark and like depressing movie about like mental illness and all these like serious things. I mean, like, just now, we've brought up a couple of different interpretations of it and what this stuff means and how we can relate it to our experiences. And I think I totally agree. Like, it's just interesting how quick that flip is and the difference in the movie where you're like, oh shit, like this is serious business.
I love that opening scene. I kind of think that it's extremely iconic.
Of course you would.
Of course.
I mean, the music
I was like, yeah, the music is excellent. So first of all, I want that on vinyl, but we won't go there. But every time I watch it, I'm like kind of blown away by that, like, juxtaposition of them coming out with, their like beautiful pink, frilly, but uniform, costumes on, and it's very much like any girl group, obviously any pop group, especially in the 90s, and that like kind of bubbly, but it's this extended scene that to me just like immediately shows the like chaos that's bubbling just below that like manufactured facade, because like almost immediately it's like you do think like there are several minutes when it just keeps going on, and if you've never seen it before, you're like, okay, cool, are we just going to watch a whole concert in the park here now? But then as soon as it's like those guys show up and like you immediately the like cracks start to show, and like I could watch that scene over and over and over because it's just so emblematic, I think, formally of like the whole movie itself, and I just love it. Oh my god, like I need the soundtrack on vinyl, like please. I want the 9 Inch Nails bangers. I don't know who actually did music, but it sounds like,
you want the version of this movie that follows Cham after like she leaves the group and they're a duo. You want the like nice movie where it follows those two as they're like still continue to make music and tour and everything.
Yeah, it needs to be like a double feature.
As they reach 83 on the pop charts.
That was so cute. I'm like, it's like, I know that is a huge deal, but also it's like, you know, it really shows that like, even though they're like pop idols, it's still a struggle. Like that's like just barely putting a dent in there. But like, and you know, when you look at it, like really they're playing like rooftops and parks and stuff like that. And she can still travel on the train to go home to her apartment and not get mobbed, right?
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good point because she's living in a very small apartment and the concert is very small to start the film, so it makes her desires to become a bigger star make more sense why she would want to give this up to try to climb up the ladder, so to speak, where she would like risk losing the comfort that she has in this girl group to try to kind of like be more than what she currently has.
Exactly. And like clearly they're rising, like literally going up the charts, but it's not at the clip that she, I guess, feels that it has to, or that Rumi wants it to. But I don't know. I also have to say, a quick note, I fucking love her apartment.
Same.
Can we just have a moment to say
so
her apartment is amazing?
It's Satoshi Kon actually said that like when he was drawing the storyboards for the movie and everything, that like he would have to like not get hung up on like adding more things to her apartment because he was like so obsessed with like every single detail that he was adding to it. And you can tell it's a very lovingly detailed apartment. Like, it's the sort of thing that you would, like, out of the context of a horror movie, maybe you would, like, want to play, like soft music to, like, just have, like, an ASMR thing, like, watching her, like, fish in her apartment or whatever.
No, like, it's totally lo-fi beats to study to, girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cozy space that turns into a horrible space as we move along the film.
Yeah, it's like a little sanctuary that becomes a like nightmare trap.
Especially
but I do love it. I love
fish.
The aesthetic. Oh my god, the fish. If only you know at the beginning when she's buying that Tetra food.
Yeah, and really the first, like, well, one of the first horror shots that I find really effective in the film actually uses her apartment to, like, kind of relay a feeling that she's being watched when she looks out of her window at night and the camera pulls back and we're, like, no longer from, like, her point of view, but from, like, the point of view of the peeping Tom, who's, like, watching her from a distance and, like, blogging about her on the internet. It's really disturbing, I think, and I think sets the tone really well for how much more intense it gets as the movie goes along.
That's my favorite shot of the whole movie, actually. I like it because, and especially because, like, the city is, like, it's, like, dark. And I thought it was really interesting because, like, I couldn't tell, and I don't think it was, but it almost looked like the animation style was different from that. Like, she was very pronounced in that when they back it up. Like, you can see her so well, you know, contrast to just the buildings and the lighting and the stuff like that. I was going to say, I also kind of enjoyed it because as this went, I liked how it subverted my expectation, because the one thing I did get worried about, because like I said, this has been on my list, but I've never really like looked at anything about it or what it was about necessarily. Like, so when we like first get introduced to Me Mania, that's his name? I think that's what I'd written down there.
That's what the stalkers call themselves.
The stalker, like, because at first I was just like, oh, okay, like, so it's just gonna be like the stalker's gonna kill some people, and you know, it's just gonna be like this generic horror, you know, like slasher premise or something, and that, which is fine. I'm like, you know, whatever. But I like that like it really took this twist into, you know, like this fractured reality narrative, and then, you know, we kind of find out that Me Mania is kind of, you know, probably the least worrisome for people that don't want to die. I guess you kind of got to be looking at Rumi. Which, of course,
but nobody in this is okay.
Yeah, and this is a bad time to be watching this, because, of course, you know, me and Mom were talking about it today, and we're talking about Rumi or whatever, and, of course, you know, my child automatically assumed we were talking about K-pop Demon Hunter, because that's the main person from that, so, the lineage, I guess.
Oh, no.
Maybe it's a reference. I still haven't seen it, but
Yeah, neither.
I assume whoever made K-pop Demon Hunters has seen. There's no way they didn't see fucking Perfect Blue. I mean, I don't know. So, speaking of Me Mania, I just have this weird tangent I want to go off on for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I found interesting about because there's a lot of commentary, obviously, on like parasocial relationships. And, Willow brought that up earlier. And
yeah, like he's totally delusional. Like he thinks that his pop star has been replaced by like a copycat, someone who's like taken over her life, and he needs to like fix things.
And I don't want to make any assumptions, but like I don't really have much to go on. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions just for like the sake of an argument. So I kind of get the feeling that this is maybe like a heterosexual man. And that there's, maybe like a little bit of, love or lust or whatever going on there. And I find that very interesting because it's very 90s and it reminds me of things like The Bodyguard. And I had this thought because in the 2020s, this movie would not be the same. Because the parasocial people then on the internet would be mostly gay men. If it was a pop singer. And so I had this thought that would change the plot drastically, but also it wouldn't. And I really want them to remake this with, like, Charlie XCX.
I mean, she would totally be down. She just watched this movie and blogged about it on TikTok. She was like,
oh, wow.
She was like,
oh my God,
fantastic.
I did not know that. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
I
loved
it. Wow. So I feel like my train of thought was like not totally off. And I was just thinking about all the like weird psycho stuff that like her fans do. For people that aren't into pop music, like the fans, like her stans have like very weird things they do where they'll like go to her concerts and be like, here's my dead mom's ashes, can you sign them, can you sign this enema, and like making her pose with like really degrading stuff. And
oh my God,
she like does it because she's a meme and like I don't think she wants to like look difficult, but again, it's this pop star being forced to do things that they don't necessarily want to do.
We'll add it on the list of Colton remakes that he'll be directing. He's got to do Leprechaun Back to the Hood first, his remake of that, and then maybe he can get to Perfect Blue.
But once that's in the can, he can do Perfect Blue with Charlie. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there as a possibility and something to think about and chew on while you think about this.
There's one thing with the Mimania character that I think it might actually be referencing, and I could be off base here, but like Jodie Foster is mentioned by name in this film once, and in the 1980s, someone, I forget his name, but he had a psychotic episode where he thought Jodie Foster in Taxi Driver was talking to him.
John Hinckley?
John Hinckley, and he thought that Jodie Foster was telling him that he needed to assassinate the president. And so there was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan because, he thought Jodie Foster was talking to him in Taxi Driver. And it's that same sort of delusion that we see in this film, honestly. And, I think it could be like linked up into that type of thinking where like somebody had an unhealthy relationship with a particular person who was famous.
Yeah, it's like erotomania where you interpret every small thing that this person does as like a communication to you because it's like the only thing that you can focus on. So everything that they do has to be in relation to you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And it's funny because, I mean, you bring up Jodie Foster and I do have one of my notes was like the show Double Bind. I was like, this is very vaguely like Silence of the Lambs too. I feel like they were, I was like, they're even like, wearing their skin and stuff.
Yeah, it's tapping into that kind of trans feminine grotesquerie where they're like, oh, the serial killer wants to become a woman. So they're playing on that trope. But they're also like kind of leaning into the fact that Jodie Foster kind of became a serious actress after she did a movie where she was raped, and that was The Accused. And I think that also follows in line with her story as well. And I think that what's so interesting to me about this is we could be totally off base with like who we think that these things are influenced by, but there are so many examples throughout the history of film and television and music where women had to do certain things in those art forms in order to be taken seriously. I think, There's so much to pull from there.
Yeah, it's sad. There is that like history of exploitation, so much so that you're right. Like it would literally be like having one of those like bingo balls with the stuff rolling around, and you just reach in and go, which one am I going to pull out? Because it could be one of 50 different people or one of 50 different, cases. Oh my god, yeah, I never even thought about that. The Jodie Foster and the accused and stuff. That's wild. Like literally, it's like we're saying, it's they like follow a script.
It's everywhere.
It's also too much the motifs, yeah.
It also reminded me of Neon Demon, which we talked about, like similarly to that. And also Smile 2 kind of had like a similar thing going on with also an unreliable narrator. Yeah,
I was gonna say for definitely like current things, I had thought about while I was watching the Smile 2, because obviously, when we, I know when we talked about Smile 2, we were all kind of big fans of that, and I mean, there's no way a lot of these folks aren't influenced by this movie. It's definitely there. I know when I was just looking and reading and all that kind of stuff, you had brought up the Aronofsky, like the Black Swan thing, but I thought it was interesting. Like I didn't realize that he had bought the rights just so he could recreate that tub scene in Requiem for a Dream, which is funny because like I love Requiem for a Dream. I've seen it like 8 million times, and I didn't connect it when I first watched this, and I was like, oh yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, Satoshi Kon, a lot of Western filmmakers who are like really, really popular nowadays kind of like lifted from his art. Like you mentioned Darren Aronofsky, but like Christopher Nolan in Inception kind of structured Inception around some things in this movie, and then in Paprika.
Paprika, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody watch Paprika too, by the way.
Yeah. The Wachowski sisters making The Matrix, like that's deeply indebted to Ghost in the Shell. That's a different director, but like, like this kind of like anime influence on a lot of like the most popular filmmakers who are working right now, it's consistent. I want to talk about like, we got into the heavy stuff, but I do think that this is also just a fun horror movie to watch. I think that it can be a difficult watch, but I also think that it's so seamless that I think that it really takes you on that journey where you're like really locked into her experience, where I think that the horror actually really does end up becoming disturbing. And I think that down the stretch, whenever she doesn't really know the difference between like her reality and the reality in the film and her traumatic memories as well, all of these things are mixing together. And have any of you seen Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me?
Love.
Okay, so Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me is one of my favorite movies, and I think that it's one of my favorite movies for a lot of the same reasons why I like this movie, and it's because it has actually a shape of mental illness. And in that movie, the Laura Palmer character is suffering from incest, and she has post-traumatic stress problems, and she is substituting her experiences in real life into delusions so that she can just survive her day-to-day existence. And that movie bombed and was really not well liked at all in America, but it did really, really well in Japan. And I think that this movie is inspired by Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, in the same way that I think that it's so integrated into the experiences of the character that I think it's really, really easy to feel what they feel. I think that those end up being my favorite horror movies, when I feel the exact same thing that the character is feeling. And I think that this movie is really, really effective at that. And I was just wondering, when you were watching this film, did you feel like you were having a seamless experience alongside Mima?
It's a good question.
I don't know about seamless, because there were a lot of layers to me when watching it that I was confused by, but I was definitely like in it, so to speak. I just didn't know like where it was gonna end and what was actually happening. So yeah, I guess I was like going through the same thing that she was going through, not knowing what's real, not being able to discern what's real.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say, because there was parts where I felt confused, because I'm like, okay, is this like reality? Is this, whose reality is this? What's going on here? But then, I think that's kind of a yes to your question, because Mima this is what she's experiencing. Mm-hmm. So you're I think you're seamlessly getting her experience in the movie of this, it's not just that she's this unreliable narrator, but like she's unreliable to herself because she's not comprehending what's going on to her, and or who is doing this and making her feel like that. So I guess to me the answer is kind of yes, because I think making me feel unreliable about what I'm watching is putting myself in her shoes.
I was just going to say, I think what you said, Rowan, was really eloquent. And the fact that when you experience trauma, that's kind of how you go about life. You're just kind of the shell and things are happening, but you're not really registering it because you're just in survival mode. And you can see how those things kind of escape her as well, because she's just like not in the mindset to accept what's happening around her until she really takes that like inward look finally. But yeah, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No. I mean, that's sort of segueing into what I was thinking, which is that when I watch this, I feel like I'm caught in like a tide in like the sea, and you're kind of like getting pulled underneath and thrown around, and you are disoriented and you don't know where you are, and there's nothing to grab onto. You're just completely unmoored, and I feel like that's also how she feels, and that sense of like, I don't know, I have nothing to grasp onto. Yeah, there's no control. It's just darkness all around. You're just completely unmoored. And I feel like that like suffocation is literally like they're just using the like language of the horror film to make you feel that exact same way.
Question.
And like, I feel like as she's spiraling, I am.
Do you think that's why it's titled Perfect Blue? Like it's a whole kind of like symbol for depression or whatever you're going through as an ocean and all the things that come with that. Like you said, like the loss of control, being unmoored. It's this big thing.
I think that's totally possible. I think that's as good a reading as any I've ever heard for the title of the film. I think that's great. I think that's really smart.
Willow's dubbing you a professional film critic now.
Shit, I'm blushing.
You know, what is Soylent Green? Like, what is Perfect Blue? Not to make light of it. Also, it should be noted, since we have no visuals, that Willow is wearing a perfect blue colored shirt.
I didn't mean to do that, but
sure. Why not? You did it on purpose. I was like, this is perfection.
That's so funny.
Accidental icon.
I'm just such a big fan of this movie. And there's no like merch for it. I'm just like trying to bring my own merch.
You need a Cham shirt.
Your own sense of style, yeah.
I would buy a Cham shirt.
Oh yeah?
I would kill for a Cham shirt, and I am gonna go on TeePublic and see if anyone has made one. But another thing so I don't know what that means culturally. I just assume that it's something that I don't quite understand. But every time I watch it, I always think about how there is one letter difference between Cham and Chum, and how they're really just, chum that you would throw out into the ocean for like a shark. You know what I mean? And it's like, it always just blows my mind.
Joggis returns.
Right? Yeah.
Let's go.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last two notes I had down. I wanted to fire off one. I just feel like ice pick to the dick really would hurt. I don't think I'd like the feeling of that whatsoever.
Yeah, gnarly.
I don't even know what to say to
gnarly. that. Like what did everyone think of the gore in the film?
The violence is disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is. Like, I think it probably has some of the most shocking and disturbing violence of anything that I've watched in a while, really. Except for Pieces, which I watched earlier, only because people were literally getting hacked with chainsaws. Other than that, I feel like it's in the last couple of months, really has probably the most striking violence. It's so personal.
I like that it's ugly. like that it's not drawn perfectly well. It's not meant to be beautiful. Like it's really graphic and grotesque and just kind of like barbaric, I would say. Even like I think it gets under my skin.
There's a quality to kind of that like 80s 90s like anime aesthetic that I enjoy. Like because I was kind of thinking, I was like, if this was put out today, I'm sure it would, go like straight to Netflix. It'd be, they'd be pumping money into it, and it would be shiny. It wouldn't have that grittiness that this did. And it's just something about kind of that like almost like low res, like you said, like this just like dirty, grimy look to it that makes it feel even more brutal and even more like forbidden almost.
Exploitative.
Yeah.
And the style.
There's one it does have a style. It's great. There's one shot in the movie of like a close-up of like a very cute kawaii character, which is like very emblematic of the anime of the time period. And Satoshi Kon didn't actually like the direction that anime was heading in. He thought it was losing some of its soulfulness and becoming too cute. And one of his ideas with this movie was to kind of bring it back down to earth and kind of like get into something really personal and really, horrifying. He and I think that's really effective and through like the entire movie, but like especially in the gore.
I mean, it's like the like tearing flesh, and it's like pulls at it, and it's very almost like taffy like, and the blood, and I just oof.
Mike's just hungry.
There's something about it. It's like I actually am. I'm thinking about the pizza still.
Oh my god.
I love that scene. I really love that scene where, it's the pizza boy murders. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, it's very I don't even want to say because I was talking about it earlier, but like sometimes I do feel like that there is a like grindhouse energy to this, even though it is about a pop idol and it is fairly polished movie. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I just feel like the violence does kind of give it that quality.
What I got from this pretty early on was very much a Suspiria kind of Argento Giallo vibe. Because you have like the investigations going on, you have that style, even the colors, and then like with the gore and the killings and then the music. I don't know. I was like, this is Giallo anime.
My last note was how much I really enjoyed the music in this. I thought like I like the music maybe like I like the movie, but I might like the music even better. Like I just thought it was so unique, and it wasn't anything I would think of, but it worked. And it just had like a very unique sound, and I thought the score was awesome.
I think there's almost like a Stanley Kubrick quality to some of the original score, where it's kind of like these like, it's not even ominous sounds, it's almost like chanting, like reverberating in and out of itself. It's disturbing. Like a lot of the things about this movie kind of feel like things we shouldn't be seeing or shouldn't be watching. It feels like a true late night movie, and it does have a grindhouse quality, and I think that that's even true in the music, which you love, and I love the music in it too. And I think that the score is such a good contrast to the bright, bubbly pop music that she was making at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like it truly gets harrowing down the stretch.
Yeah, and what a like stark difference it paints, because you think in the first 5 minutes, because you do get a couple of the songs, right? It kind of dips in on them. She kind of like peeks in, on how they're doing and stuff. And you really think that that's probably going to be like, okay, cool. We'll get like a lot of pop music in this. And then it's just this gritty, grinding noise more than anything. It's like noise industrial. I said 9 Inch Nails just because that was an easy reference, but I don't even think that truly captures the quality. I think it's definitely a lot more, I don't know.
Coil?
A lot more otherworldly. Oh yes. Coil's Hellraiser score. That's what I'm feeling. Also, shout out to Coil's Hellraiser score. Unused.
So with that, are we good to land the plane and get in the rating this?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So if you're new to the podcast, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, this was your pick.
Oh boy.
What are you going to rate Perfect Blue? And is it going to be a nay and Willow will never come back?
Definitely not. I'm not Colton. I'm just kidding. I don't think Colton... I think Colton likes this movie,
Shade.
actually.
Yeah, if you're on Colton's letterbox, I think Colton gave this like a 4.5 out of 5.
So
like,
that would be a yay for him. I think I'm going to bump it up to a slave for me because, I don't know, the ending left me wanting to watch it again just to see the things that I missed because there were so many layers and not knowing what was really happening at the moment. I think going back and knowing some of the things that I know now, it might be more interesting to pick up on the things that I didn't pick up on the first watch. But I thought that the animation style was really nice. I like that it changed from being like bright and peppy to sad and dull and at the same time that where she goes through this transformation. And I think it's hard to not have empathy for the character and understand what she's going through, even if you can't like really relate. There is such a heaviness to this movie. It could make it hard to watch for some people, but I think it's also important to watch. And so, yeah, I'm going to give it a slay. Rowan, how do you rate it?
The most fun part of this is that we're going to see how well I know my friends. Because I've already written all your ratings down where I write them down so I can log them. And I'm just seeing if I'm right on all of them. Well, I said I would wait and kind of reveal Rhonda Fraser's opinions on this. And that's because me and her have the same opinion on it. I think we kind of matched up, which was kind of interesting. So the final rating for me is like a very strong yay. It's not like on the upper echelons for me, but we both agreed talking about the movie, it like is a slay. When I asked Rhonda Fraser what she thought, she said, well, on the podcast, it would probably be like a slay for talking and what it's talking about. Mm-hmm. And it was like a yay for viewing experience. And
wow.
No, I like I said, I really like this. I like how layered it is about it. It's like I said, it's just this isn't my like anime stuff isn't really my thing. So I was very worried. I saw how high this got on Letterboxd, and I went in and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna watch this. I'm not gonna like it. I'm gonna be the Colton of this episode and and just hate it. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. This is one I'm definitely going to watch again. So who knows? Maybe I'm saying all this and then really I like anime horror stuff now. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to search out more. But for right now, it's like a very high yay for me. Like it's like on the cusp. Maybe another watch I can get up there. But yeah, I really liked it. And I liked the conversations we had about it today. And me and Rhonda Fraser both said when we woke up, I saw her in the morning, and the first thing she said to me, she's like, I'm still thinking about that movie. And I said, yeah, me too. That's all I'm thinking about. And I watched 2 other movies last night after I watched this. And this is what I was left thinking about. So, you know, that's pretty high praise. Willow, what would you give it?
So I think everyone who listened to this episode probably can glean that this is a slay for me. So I didn't get into the fact that I do have experience with post-traumatic stress disorder, and this movie does kind of touch on some things that are like kind of very close to home for me. But I think that it does so in a way that's really empathetic to those experiences. Never killed a guy like dressed as a pizza man, but like you never know where life is gonna send me. But yeah, I really love this movie. I think that it's really smart about what it's getting at, and I think that it is very much in the lineage of horror movies where it uses the apparatus of the camera and the gaze in order to say something about the way that the world works with regards to the way that women feel watched and the misogyny that they experience in various industries. A lot of my favorite movies work this way. I mentioned Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, but I love Clute. I love Cat People, which has a similar sort of vibe. You know, these are some of my favorite horror movies, and I love Perfect Blue, and I think it's one of the best horror anime, and one of my favorite horror movies of the 1990s, certainly. It's a slay for me, easily. What do you think, Mike?
Well, again, to no one's shock, anybody who's seen my Letterboxd since last night knows that I gave it 5 stars and a heart. I think that it is borderline perfect, and it's one of those movies that I might not watch it for a few years, but I'm always thinking about it, and I always want to watch it. And there's not very many movies like that, honestly. I just think that it is pure art, and it uses like the visual language of like film and anime in such a way that I just feel like I'm always carried along with it, and I don't feel like I'm watching a movie. I feel like I'm like she's getting swept away. Like I said earlier, it feels like you're in water and you know you got caught in the tide, and I also feel like I get swept away by this movie. And there's not very many films really that I can think of off the top of my head that I feel that way in, where I'm completely in it and I don't feel like I'm watching something. And it's not just immersion, like, you know, the story's great and stuff, but it's that feeling, like that gut feeling that I just feel like everything is out of control in much the same way that she feels like everything is out of control. And I just think that's such perfection. And I wouldn't recommend it to everybody because obviously it does deal with a lot of really dark and triggering subject matter. But if that doesn't bother you, then I think it's, like Willow said, one of the best horror movies of the 90s for sure. And that was a decade in which I feel like there was a lot of, fairly shallow commercial things being made, and this stands in such a stark contrast to that, and the fact that, you know, almost 30 years later, it is literally, it's like it has a ripped from the headline feel because, you know, people are still being exploited in the same way. We still have the same sort of parasocial relationships. I just feel like it's timeless, and some things just never change. So it's a total 100% slay. Also, I have so many like GIFs from this movie on my camera roll, so just saying.
Hell yeah.
So 1 yay and 3 slays. I'll just say I'm 3 for 3. I knew what you guys were giving this, so I just know you well. So we told you what we thought about it, and we asked what you thought about it, and we did get a couple answers. So James on Facebook wrote us and said, slay, capital letters, definitely a slay. So it seems like everyone pretty much agrees with you there. Then we had Ryan on Bluesky write us and said, this is one of those movies that makes you feel dirty for watching it. Unsettling, grimy, and beautifully animated. This film and the opening pop song are big time slays. So another fan of Sham. The Chum
We're all fans.
The Chum Band Sham. And then I thought it was funny because our Horror Hound Patreon member James wrote my Instagram when I just logged that I watched it, and he messaged me and just said that this fucking slaps hard. So he's speaking my language. He knows what's going on.
He really is.
So Nicholas has sent us a voicemail. So let's go on over to the horrific hotline and see what Nicholas has to say about Perfect Blue.
So after having to thank Mike for Dead Ringers, now thank you, Gill, for picking Perfect Blue. Another great pick, another great movie, which I'm going to spoil my review right now, is going to be a slay for me. Perfect Blue is in most of it's just a perfect movie. I really love the way the story unfolds. I think the animation is well done with many visual clues and hints to the overall story. So many scenes that kind of mix dream or visions with the reality of the story. There are a few rather scary scenes. There are a few shockingly violent scenes, and it's just a a very well made movie that happens to be an anime as well. And I have to say, I am not the biggest anime fan, so I do like some of the basic movies and some of the basic TV shows, but I'm not that big into that particular genre or style of filmmaking. However, the movies of Satoshi Kon are just brilliant masterpieces, all 4 of them. And Perfect Blue is really up there. I can't really pick a favorite of his movies. Right now, it would probably be Perfect Blue because of recently watching it, though I would advise everyone to watch Millennium Actress, probably his most underrated movie. But that's beside the point. Perfect Blue is a visually stunning and brilliant psychological horror thriller, and it just captures me every time I watch it, and every time I think I find out a new aspect of the movie, or I see a few new hints to the actual storyline, even if the final reveal is not as brilliant as the build-up to it, it still works and makes for a fun and short-lived experience with the movie. Though I do have to say that sometimes some of the more violent scenes, especially with the visions and the reality bending during the film scenes, or the scenes the main actress is filming, are quite shocking, and they catch me off guard every time because I do not remember them being as graphic as they are. So, A Slave from me, great pick. Hope you do some anime features down the line at some point. And also, last but not least, really happy for Rowan to be back on the X-Files train.
I knew you would.
I hope you're enjoying it so far, and you get into the good stuff. If I remember correctly, you stopping at season 3 or 4, so you're right up in the golden era.
Yeah, Nicholas, I'm getting there. Everyone tells me that I'm getting into like the kind of golden age X-Files, and I'm sure these 3 are super glad to see that you agreed with them, not me. Gave it a slay also. So
I knew he wouldn't let us down.
Yeah,
honestly.
Just icon. And if you want to leave a voicemail like Nicholas, you can do so by simply just trying to get us a voicemail. You can send it at our email, itslacespodcast@gmail.com, or just, message us anywhere or anything and just say, hey, I want to give a voicemail. It could be about the movie we are reviewing, or, if it's just a horror question in general, or just a question in general, like, Mike, we're still waiting on the feet pics. What's going on? We can answer those questions.
Listen, tier 5 paywall, okay?
And if you're looking where you can find us at, it's at It's Lays Podcast, pretty much anywhere there's social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Bluesky, YouTube, Tumblr, Letterboxd, Slasher, TikTok. I feel like I always forget something. We're there. If there's a social media, we're probably there. So find us, follow us, say hello to us. We'll say hello back. Jill, do you want to tell them about how they can become a horror hound?
Certainly. If you are interested in joining the ranks of our horror hounds like Holly, Nicholas, Socratype, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, head on over to Patreon and find us under It's Lays Podcast and choose the tier that works best for you. Perks include early access to episodes of our main show, as well as access to our Patreon specific show, Stream Screams, as well as the ability to choose movies for us to review. We're talking about the soundtrack. Rowan, any bangers from Perfect Blue making it to the spooky playlist?
If it's on Spotify, we're going to figure out a way to put it on the playlist. And I got to be real, I'm always like, hey, we update it pretty regularly, and then I forget to add stuff. But guess what? Last week, I did a huge update and added a bunch of stuff that I said I was going to add and forgot. I still got a bit of stuff more to add. But you can find out if I did my job and go to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, You can go into any of the social media I mentioned just briefly ago, go into the bio, click the Linktree link. It'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. So follow the playlist, update it regularly, get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? It's almost spooky season. Before we get into all the other stuff, I also have to just remind people about the next TerrorVision screening that we will be sponsoring that is coming up. And that is, so on September 10th, which is a Wednesday, at the Lower Sackville Cineplex, TerrorVision will be doing a screening of the original Child's Play. We'll be doing giveaways there. Doors open at 6:30. The pre-show and the film and the interview that he's done with, I believe it's one of the FX guys that worked on the Chucky doll. It starts at 7:30, so be there. The show last month was like sold out, so these sell out pretty quick. So get your tickets, and we'll be in the house, and if you see me, you can come say hello, all that good stuff. Before we get into the next episode, though, Willow, I gotta breathe some room, let you promote some stuff.
If you want to support me, I have a book out called Corpses, Fools, and Monsters, The History and Future of Transness in Cinema. People seem to like it, so go out and get that at wherever you buy books. It's selling pretty alright. I think people are enjoying it. I am working on a new book right now on horror movies in the 21st century, and I'm hoping for that to be out next year. If you want to support my weekly writing, I do work on Patreon underneath my name, Willow_Catelyn, Catelyn. And then, just look for me around on social media, same name. You can usually find me. I'm usually talking about movies or my cat. Thank you so much for having me on this episode. It was a blast talking with all of you about Perfect Blue.
Yeah, and I mean, we always, when you're on the episodes, we always have the links for your stuff in the, the description. So if you're on YouTube or even Spotify and stuff, the links are all down below in the descriptors where you can buy your book and, go where you can go to hear talk about her cat. I know that's what everyone is really interested in. They're like, what's the deal with this cat? So
oh my god, Kermit is so popular. I think the most likes I ever got on Bluesky was when I posted a picture that I took of Kermit from movie night, and I was like, oh cool, I guess a picture of me won't get any likes, but a picture of the cat will, so that's fine.
Yeah, everyone go support the cat that doesn't like Mike. So
no cats like me.
The Mike hater.
I got the Kermit approval, so
yeah, Kermit likes Jillian but doesn't like Mike. It's
it tracks.
Say what you will.
It tracks.
He has opinions.
He tolerates me at best. That's all I'm saying.
So with that, all that's left is to announce our next episode, and there's a little bit of change here. You just had one of my picks, and now you're getting another one of my picks, because we have a special guest coming on, but also because Colton will be away again. He's at TIFF. It is TIFF time, so he won't be back till the end of the month. So I did a little switcheroo with him. So you will get a Colton pick coming up after me. But yeah, so we just switched it around a bit. So our next film is 1983's Curtains. And we will have our special guest on, which is TerrorVision's owner, creator, Josh Lake. He will be on to discuss this with us and dive into it. So yeah, get curtains into your eyeballs, and we will be back. I'm sure we'll be back in your feeds fairly soon. I see Toxic Avenger comes out this week. I can't see us getting away not talking about that. Anyway, as always, thank you for all the support. I am your humble host, Rowan.
Thanks, it's Mike.
Bye, it's Jill.
And this is Willow. See you in 6 months.
See you later.